It is so exciting to be here and to talk to you about, building AI-driven strategies for ABM to be able to unlock the next level. I'm going to be showcasing some tactical steps that you can potentially use to be able to scale or build your ABM strategies, and how you can actually use AI to its maximum capacity to help you during the process. I am Saumya Bhatnagar. I'm the Chief Product Officer and co-founder at Jiva.ai. We build digital sales reps to help streamline your pipeline. So essentially, you can improve the efficiency of your SDRs by 4x, and you can create an army of SDRs with just one SDR and increase your pipeline without breaking the bank. I have been building startups for more than 10 years now. This is my third startup, and I have had quite a few learning experiences and have fallen on my face quite a bunch and learned from that. So ABM, I pretty much learned through one of those or many of those face planting experiences where you just learn on the job because you have to get something done, and you pick up tips and tricks through the process. And it's not always pretty. You face plant a bunch, but you learn something, and you can scale that later. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about. So talking about just ABM in general, the one belief that I have is that ABM is like a pyramid. There needs to be a very strong foundation, and it is essentially, you can skip a step. You have to have one step already laid out before you build on the other. And if at any point of time you skip steps, it doesn't always result in a lot of success. So the pyramid that I like to think about is the who, what, and how pyramid. And you have to always start with the who. Audience identification is extremely important. And it's not just about who do we sell to. You need to have a very detailed picture at a macro and a micro level about your audience. And you need to understand, like, what's your target buyer? What makes them tick? How do they think? What are the unique buyer signals that are exclusive to your target audience that would showcase them showing intention of actually buying your product? So having a very strong grasp of the who is extremely important. Once you do that, then the what becomes much clearer. What channels actually reach your audience? Not every channel is made for every ICP, and picking the wrong one can mean a lot of wasted time. So having a good idea about what channels actually are the most conducive to getting the highest quality MQLs is extremely important. And then finally, we can talk about the how, and that's where all the magic happens. Now you're ready to set up the channels in a really thoughtful manner. You can collaborate with sales and product, depending upon, of course, your business model, and create a really smooth MQL to SQL transition process plan that can align with your goals. So again, one step leads to the other. So each layer supports the next. And if we miss one, the whole thing wobbles. So let's talk about building a strong ICP. The one thing that I know is building a solid ICP is not easy. And often it feels like a moving target. Sales or product create an ICP, hand it off to you, you build strategies around it, and before the results emerge, it kind of shifts again. And I am guilty of being a part of a similar cycle, being product. But there are a lot of changes that are happening in the world, not only just external, but internal. And that keeps switching the ICP. So what my learning was, instead of relying on sales and product to be able to define an ICP for us, I started with building the ICP first myself. And a good way and an easy way to do that is to create a company pipeline analysis report in your CRM. That was a really quick thing that I could do, where I'm just giving a few fundamental things that are really important that you should include in your ICP version 1.0, which is the organization basics, the demographics, like who are the decision makers, what functions do they play, what are the team sizes, what are the roles in the buying process, any tech stack requirements, any competitors that you go head to head with. And this information is usually available in your CRM when your SDR is doing any kind of discovery calls with your customer, or if product is having some high intent actions within the product. If you are a PLG product, you can get this information either in Salesforce or in Pendo, Amplitude, whatever your product analytics tool is. You can get that information, and you should create a report for yourself that you can continuously see, and you can continuously reevaluate on your own time without having to build any reliance on anyone else. Once your ICP is defined, it ends up looking something like this. I had put mine in a Google Doc, and it starts putting like the basic details that I already mentioned. And it's extremely important to be able to have the ability to build a CRM report around this yourself. Data is power, and power means more leads. So you have to be able to ensure that you can get direct data flow. So encourage sales to fill out these fields if it's in the CRM, or product to be able to create a report that can get you this information on a regular basis, but something that consistently updates the data so that you can keep your strategy aligned on your own time. Perfect. So now that I have that initial ICP 1.0 in hand, we're actually ready to use AI to further get into the mindset of your target audience. So the new concept with AI that a lot of product folks are also using is AI synthesized interviews, where you can enable the AI to role play your target buyer and give the AI all the information that you already have about your target buyer, and then ask them questions. Again, this is not foolproof, but it provides a really strong foundation to start with. And once you create that, you can hand this off to other people who might know the target audience better, for example, sales or product or customer success, and get their inputs. But it's something really, really strong that you can start with without any input as well. Just as an example, this was a ChatGPT output of goals and objectives, time frames of like what each of my target audience for Jiva.ai, what they do on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. So it gives a lot of detailed information. And some of the information that I like adding on top of ICP version 1.0 is all of these mentioned here, which is what are their daily activities? What are their goals? What are their challenges? What are success metrics that they are evaluated on? Well, how do they typically buy in terms of the buying process? Like, just because we sell a certain way doesn't mean they buy a certain way. What are market forces internally or externally in their organization that is allowing for certain changes to happen? How much budget is there typically there? And again, you can add your own questions to this, but this is a really nice baseline to be able to develop a very, very detailed ICP that can help you look inside the mind of your target audience. If you want to, get the prompt to play around with your own target buyer, feel free to scan this QR code. Again, this is just an example of how ChatGPT, in this case, you can use any other LLM, gave details about our target buyer, which is a CRO. You can scan this and you'll get access. There's a plug and play template that you can use and kind of fill in your own information in the blanks and kind of get going and see if it provides any tangible results. I would love feedback. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn to see if it worked, to tell me if it worked or not. Would love to tweak it with your feedback. Now that we're done with the who and we have a really strong who in place, which is what our target audience is, we can actually move on to the what, which is how do we actually choose the channels based on our ICP. Again, an early heads up, once we start moving into channels, and for example, let's just assume we don't have a predictable channel yet, you have to get into the mindset of experimentation. You walk into this part of the pyramid in a very determined yet detached manner, assuming that there will be failures. We're using AI to de-risk the failures as much as we can upfront, but that doesn't mean we wouldn't fail. And I always like going into channel experimentation with a fail fast mentality. I'd rather fail upfront, I'd rather fail quick, and I'd rather know what doesn't work really, really early than spend so much time on it, and then figure out, that it didn't work. Always hurts more. I'd rather know upfront. So determined yet detached. And there's a framework that is called the channel fit matrix, um, that I kind of found in different places and plugged together to create one. But basically, it scores each channel on critical factors to prioritize which channel to test specific to your ICP. So you can actually measure your channel based on scale, how many people can you reach at one time, what is the cost, how easy is it to target your specific ICP, how much control do you have over that channel during the execution, how much time does it take upfront to be able to get the channel going, and how much lead time do you have once the channel has been successfully launched, how much lead time do you have to actually start getting leads predictably? And again, creating this channel fit matrix after you have your ICP is one prompt away, at least your baseline. You can, of course, edit it and use your judgment and ask other people, but at least you have something really strong. And with the prompt that I'm going to give you in the next slide, as you can see, not only does it create every potential channel that might be viable for your ICP, it also rates it based on cost, targeting, control, input time, output time, and scale, gives the score, but also gives two additional metrics. The hypothesized intent signals, which essentially means what signals for this channel with respect to our ICP can we consider to be high intent? And then success metrics. It's not only if the channel brings us leads, does this channel bring us leads in a predictable manner? Can we assume that LinkedIn ads will get us 25 leads a week? So, how can we create a success metric, which is upfront, to see that if it crosses this threshold, this is a predictable channel that we should explore further versus an upfront failure? Like I said, fail fast mentality. You should have really strong success metrics before you jump into the channel to be able to know, is it working or not? Because you have a really clear number already quantified upfront. As you can see here in the little screenshot that I have, this was ChatGPT kind of pulling out and building a channel matrix, channel fit matrix for Jiva.ai. However, of course, you can scan this, and I have a template that is kind of ready to go that you can just plug and play and see if this helps you with kind of starting to see what additional channels you can play around with and you can experiment with. Okay, and now we get to the fun stuff, where once you have your who and your what, now we're focusing on how to execute and start testing each of these channels. So again, I am a big fan of upfront experimentation as much as I can upfront. So I usually A/B test campaigns because sometimes it isn't that the channel isn't working, maybe the copy isn't right. There are a lot of factors. So A/B testing is always a good thing to do upfront so that you're like taking out the confounding variable of your copy not being right or not hitting the target audience the way we wanted to. Otherwise, it could have been a great channel. So experimentation is key. A determined yet detached mindset that keeps you agile is still extremely important. And the one thing that I use to be able to create the assets for each of these channels is what I call as the playoff prompt. And I recently learned about it and it kind of blew my mind. And basically, here's how it works. You basically, once you give the prompt, it collects a list of all possible ideas for that asset that you're trying to create for the channel. And it automatically creates a tournament where it plays the strategies against each other to end up giving you the top performing strategy that hits all the requirements that you want. So as you can see here, it essentially starts with a round of 32, breaks it down to a round of 16. You have quarterfinals, semifinals, and the final round, and it gives you the most impactful content. In this case, I'm kind of showing it for a LinkedIn carousel ad content, but you can use this for any asset that you want to create. It could be email copy, it could be ad copy, it could be event registration information. You can go with any kind of asset type and build this. And as you can see right here in the screenshot, it's kind of a lot of rounds, the quarterfinals, semifinals for an ad copy for Jiva.ai. And the ad actually did really well for us, which was pretty exciting. So again, the prompts right here, feel free to scan this. You will get the template that you can use. This one is a fairly detailed template. You will have to give thought into what the voice of your ad campaign needs to be or your content needs to be. However, once you kind of build that prompt out, then it's kind of a template, it's plug and play. It's pretty amazing to see how it works. The one other tip that I wanted to add is once you start seeing engagement on your channels and whichever ones are working, let's just say they come to your website, it's important to have, I use Jiva.ai because, I dog food our own tool, but you can use something similar. I've put this on our company's website where if somebody's landing on our webpage, we know exactly who it is. And as you can see here, Dan has about 7 visits, Paul has about 3 visits, and we have anything over 3 visits we consider as high intent. And basically, Jiva.ai automatically creates an outbound campaign and sends an email that is personalized to, for example, Dan and Paul to say, hey, I saw that you visited Jiva.ai. Here's what we do. Can we help? So it really helps close the feedback loop because we're trying to get everybody onto our site. If we know who they are, we can actually segment them to say, okay, this is an ICP versus this is not, and actually just start sending warm emails because identification is the key to everything. Last but not least, there are a lot of additional techniques I know that we can cover. 20 minutes is too short to cover everything, of course, but there are a lot of additional prompts. There are a lot of additional ways in which you can scale and use AI strategies to be able to grow ABM and getting really high qualified MQLs. But I wanted to show you an example of like when you use AI strategies right, there is a possibility of this is what your calendar could look like. This is what our calendar has been looking like for the past 3 weeks, and we're very excited about that our strategies are actually working. So yeah, AI works all the time. AI works 24/7. AI doesn't need to sleep. AI doesn't need to eat. And we can truly, truly leverage it because in ABM, the most amount of creativity is needed, the most amount of thought is needed. And having AI as a partner can really, really impact your account-based motion. So yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any additional questions, thoughts. It was really nice being able to build this presentation and show all of my tips and tricks. But yeah, chat soon. Bye.